Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm going to give just a couple minutes so people can trickle in here, and we'll get started. All right. Probably a good time to just get kicked off here. So thank you so much for joining today. Today, we're going to focus on how AI is beginning to show up inside Business Central, particularly within operational workflows like accounts payable, and what that means in practical terms for you. So there's a lot of noise around AI right now. I'm sure everyone's heard Copilot, chatbots, agents. The goal today isn't to add to that noise. It's really to ground the conversation in what's actually available today and really how it shows up in Business Central, where it fits in your real workflows. And it is worth noting that this is a very evolving landscape, as you can imagine. A couple of years ago, when we started using AI, it was kind of clunky, and now it's getting more and more efficient, I guess, and working a little bit faster, giving better answers. So Microsoft is continuously working on and expanding the AI agents. So what you see today is what's available now, and there will be more capabilities continuing to emerge and shift over time. So feel free to drop any questions into the Q&A as we go. We'll save time at the end to address them. And let's start by looking at today's agenda. All right, so we're going to start with a quick framing of where AI fits inside ERP today. Then we'll walk through the differences between automation, Copilot, and agents. And from there, Jen's going to walk us through a short demo of the Payables Agent as it functions today in Business Central. Then we'll close with what this means in practical terms for you, your workflows, your team, and leave time for questions. But before we dive in, let us quickly introduce ourselves. I'm Tara Ramakers. I'm an account executive here at Bond, and I've been in the Microsoft channel about 12 years or so now. So yeah, happy to be here. And Jen?
Hi, I'm Jennifer Ryan. I am a senior solutions consultant and project manager at BCS. I've been at BCS for about 10 years, and I've been in the Microsoft environment for about 20 years and over 3 decades of experience in accounting and business management and as an ERP consultant. And my role is helping organizations transition to modern and scalable solutions.
Thanks, Jen. All right, well, AI is showing up everywhere. Obviously, everyone's talking about it, conversations, tools, roadmaps. And today we just wanted to bring it back to something practical and really discuss where this actually fits inside Business Central and how it shows up for you. So with that in mind, we'll look where this shows up in practice. So there's a lot of talk about automation, Copilot, agents, and in day-to-day ERP work, many teams are still reviewing exceptions, chasing approvals, and reconciling data. And a lot of this is manual and reactive. So what's changing is not that AI is going to replace people, but the systems can now help monitor activity and surface issues earlier. So the shift just turns work from reactive to proactive and makes people more efficient. Think of it as like your personal assistant helping you out, duplicating yourself a little bit. So you'll hear automation, Copilot, and agents mentioned together a lot, but they've really served different roles. Automation follows rules, Copilot assists the users, and agents operate inside a workflow, monitoring activity and surfacing what matters most. And that shift is what's starting to reshape how work happens inside ERP. So instead of thinking about agents as a separate tool, it helps to think about what they do inside a workflow. Just being able to automate repetitive tasks and reduce manual processes, it helps make people more efficient. So monitoring the activity, preparing information, surfacing what needs attention, keeps from people trying to reactively get to an issue that's coming up. And coming out of an AI conference last week, one of the biggest themes, hands down, was security guardrails, which is already integrated into Copilot and into a lot of the Microsoft suite. with the right licenses. And ultimately, if that's something you want to review at some point in time, we're happy to help you go through that. So that's how really the manual effort starts to come down, not by replacing the people or the process, but changing how work shows up. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Jen to do the demo. You might be on mute, Jen.
I'm so sorry. Thank you, Tara. AI agents will help us automate repetitive and tedious tasks and reduce our manual processes and simplify and standardize our training. They help us force structure within our procedures, which I think in the end, that's going to be really useful as we start evaluating our procedures and maybe streamlining a bit. And AI and Copilot are changing the landscape of how this is going to happen. And it gives us a chance to review our procedures again. So currently in Business Central, we have 3 agents in preview in Business Central, and they're available for testing, and they have roadmaps for additional functionality in the future. They have examples of where the AI agents are going. So in Business Central, the 3 agents that we have is Sales Order Agent. That was the first one that came out. And that is a workflow with a workflow from the prospect inquiry through quotes, orders, and invoices. The Payables Agent was the next agent that came out, and that's fairly recent within the last few months, and it monitors incoming vendor invoices and begins the data entry process for us into the purchase invoices. And the Agent Designer came out it's brand new. It came out with the latest update, and it's an opportunity to design and create your own custom agent workflows. The out-of-the-box agents show the possibilities of agents and where we're going, and this is not theoretical. It's already in the platform, and it's available to all of you. Accounts payable invoice entry is about one of the 10 daily procedures that virtually all companies do more or less the same. And this is an opportunity to automate the repetitive processes like retrieving the invoice or getting the source data and then doing the data entry of the invoice into the system, into the invoice system, and automating the document transitions. Incoming documents can come usually from snail mail. More often nowadays, they're from email, but a lot of people still receive a lot of snail mail. And hopefully this process would streamline some of that. And then the document is manually entered, coded, and then reviewed, approved, and posted. So here we're going to look at the accounts payable agent as an example of the out-of-the-box agents that we have. So the accounts payable agent uses a shared mailbox. It's going to be a Microsoft 365 mailbox, and you set up a shared mailbox, and the email can be received into there directly from the vendor, or it can be scanned and or forwarded from an employee into that mailbox. That inbox, the payables agent then monitors that inbox and will pick up the documents, and it's specifically looking for PDFs. And the system uses the optical character recognition, or OCR, to read the PDF and recognize the vendor, for instance, the invoice number, the invoice dates, and the line items. Part of the process steps the user through each of the steps to identify the vendor and start completing the invoice, the purchase invoice. So the agent identifies it, whether it's an existing or new vendor, and that starts the process to populate the data. And then the user steps through that. The PDF is automatically attached to the document. This is a nice thing because a lot of clients don't want to scan everything in, but if you're receiving it through the inbox, it will automatically attach that PDF to the document and keep it in Business Central for the entire process. There are a few limitations, however, and there's no purchase order matching at this time, but that is on a roadmap. And because of this, this is mostly going to be for expense invoices because we can't match to a purchase order. And there are some document size and quantity limitations. Setting up the payables agent is super easy. Again, you would want to set up a Microsoft 365 mailbox as a shared mailbox, and this is the inbox that the agent will monitor, and then configure the accounts payable agent in Business Central. Let's take a look at how that looks in Business Central. In Business Central, you can select the Payables Agent icon and assign the shared email of the inbox. And then optionally, you can create some sample documents for testing, or you can I just created them myself, actually. And then you can activate and update, and you're done. Your agent is ready to use. There are two variations on the theme there are two variations on the theme. One is the known vendor and one is the vendor that doesn't exist inside of Business Central. And the first we'll go through is where we already know the vendor. The vendor's in Business Central and we're ready to create a document for them. The steps would happen. You can see the payables agent receive documents and flow steps in the panel on the right, and you can select a document to review and process. The payables agent will display the email that it received, and you can optionally view the PDF invoice attachment. And again, this attachment will remain attached throughout the process. So you'll be able to view the invoice and then select continue to create a purchase invoice draft document. This is a new document in Business Central. And the agent will automatically populate the draft document based on recognized field like the vendor number, the invoice number, the due date, and the document date, the line items, quantities, and amounts. And as you notice that the due dates, the dates are written differently on the invoice here. One is in written out and the other one is in numeric form, and the document was recognized, both were recognized for the document entry. Then we can enter the line item coding, basically going to GL. You can also do fixed assets or something, but again, you can't match to purchase orders. And after you complete coding out your document, you can finalize the draft, review the agent steps over on the right. You can see that there are additional steps. I'm kind of moving a little bit ahead of the entry here. And after we're done, it will create a purchase invoice, and normal purchase invoice process resumes from here. So if you have approval processes, that will pick up from here. So you can see that there are different steps that the agent is walking through here. So now I'm just going to do a quick look at what happens when we have a new vendor. The system doesn't recognize the vendor on the invoice, and we have a new vendor. And what happens here is there's a little sub process that calls the user to decide whether they want to select a vendor or create a new vendor, and then it will help us create a new vendor. Let's look at the document with a new vendor. We select a document the same way we did before. And we can review the email and the invoice PDF that comes in with the email. And you'll see that there is a new customer because it says, new customer. So this is going to be a new company vendor, and I'm sorry, this is a new vendor, and it's creating going to ask us if we want to create a new vendor or select a vendor that already exists in the system. The payable agent will recognize that it's unknown, and it will send the user to a prompt. And then right here, we're saying, we're asking Copilot to create a new vendor. The vendor is created in a blocked status. So you won't be able to use that until you finish off filling out the vendor record and unblocking that vendor. But this gives you a chance to start the data. So it's populating the system. It's populating based on the PDF. It's finding the company name, and we're saying, oh, that's not the right company name. It was finding it on the logo, by the way. It wasn't finding it on the written part. And so there's a new company name, and you can fill out the address and whatever other data needs to be filled out here. And if you have an approval process to create new vendors, it will start going through that. And then it just goes back to the same process, going through the steps and creating the new vendor, and then creating the purchase invoice draft. Then it is pushed into a purchase invoice, goes back to the same process that you already have. And if you note at the top, before we move on from here, I don't want to keep playing that, but at the top of this is saying that there's AI credits quota. This gets into how this is paid, and what we have a choice to do is top off our Copilot credits or go to a higher tier. That was an unfortunate thing I ran into while I was testing. So after that, I want to look at the purchase invoices. The purchase invoice list is exactly the same as what you've already been dealing with. We create purchase invoices from the draft. It goes into a purchase invoice, and it goes on. There's a little bit of a delay here that goes into a purchase invoice list, and the last 4 documents in this list are the ones that were created through a payables agent. Further, we have an e-documents list that shows all the documents that have been pulled in from our monitored email and the status of each, whether they've been processed or whether they're in progress or in error. And they can be filtered, and you can access them there and go on to the next step for each one of those. So in review of this process, the accounts payable agent will pick the vendor or an employee can send invoices with a PDF into our monitored email inbox, and the payables agent will monitor that inbox and import PDFs and read the PDFs with OCR, identify the vendor. If the vendor is identified, then it will create a purchase invoice draft. And if it's an unidentified vendor, it sends it to a sub-process where the user decides whether to select a different vendor or to create a new vendor. And if they either way, they create a new vendor, it goes into the purchase invoice draft, and the purchase invoice draft is then reviewed by the user and can be confirmed and turned over to a purchase invoice, which goes back into the same workflow and same manual workflow that you already have. And I think that's it. I'm going to hand it back to Tara.
Thanks, Jen. That was really cool. I love how easy it is to just turn that on. I mean, it seems like having that shared mailbox is the only thing that could potentially cause a little bit of a delay there. But yeah, this is great. So what does this mean for you? What we usually see is that this isn't some huge AI initiative. It's just breaking things down into small steps, using capabilities that already exist in Business Central. And again, these are evolving, so things are going to change and adapt and become, more efficient and better for you to utilize. So really just start looking at one workflow that's still manual, still reactive, and then start to improve from there. And if you're running Business Central today, this is really a great place to start. So what's a manual thing? Rekeying data, chasing approvals, pulling reports after the fact, and then think about that from how can we do this proactively? What are areas where my team is spending time responding to issues instead of getting ahead of them? And then go from there. So just start with small practical use cases, one process, one improvement, and then build from there. And if you'd like to understand more about how this applies in your specific environment, please reach out to us. We are really happy to review workflows and just overall discuss where this could fit within your environment, within your team, and add value to your team. And we flew through that real quickly today. So let's open it for questions. I think I saw a few come in. Let me get to my chat real quick. If it will allow me to. There we go. Was it in chat or was it in Q&A? There we go. Here it is. Yes, we will distribute this recording after the meeting, and we will distribute it to anyone who has registered, even if they are not attending. So that will be out for everyone. Okay, I thought someone said this was in preview for testing, but then I thought someone said it's available for use now. Also, I don't see the payables agent on my BC. Jen, any thoughts on that? It is available now. She was in a sandbox.
The payables agent, I thought it was available in the live companies. I haven't looked at one lately, but I know the design agent is the agent designer is in sandbox only. It may be sandbox only right now. I'll have to double check that.
Yeah, we can follow back up on that for sure.
Yeah. But it is technically still in preview, so it may not be available on a production environment.
Okay. All right, we will follow up on that. Another question was, how does the payables agent work with multi-entity? We have to select the entity first and it cannot be edited in the draft.
I would say if you're using a multi-entity product, it's not going to address that. We may have to look at the agent designer and do a custom process for that, because this is just going to be out of the box right now. It's just going to be native functionality.
So Jen, does this change someone's process or is it sitting on top of it?
It's actually just a little bit in front of it. It just starts out that data entry of the purchase invoice. So it's basically the same process, but it starts out the data entry process for you.
Got it. Okay. At this point in time, can the agent be modified or customized?
These agents cannot be modified right now. Possibly, I don't know the roadmap for the ability to modify the existing out-of-the-box agents yet, but there is a potential to use the agent designer to do a custom agent.
Okay. All right, great. And my understanding, this is all consumption-based billing. We're happy to send out that link for more information on how to set this up in your own environment. And again, if there's anything we can do to review and help you understand how to basically put this into use for you and your team, please don't hesitate to reach out for us. So thanks again for joining us. We appreciate the time that you took to be here, and we're going to continue to host these short lunch and learns to help translate basically what Microsoft is rolling out in Business Central and what it means for you in practice. Again, any friction points you're feeling, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we'd love to help make it a little bit more efficient for you and your team. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.